Welcome back, race fans, to another video on PowerDirector Made Simple. In response to a viewer that wanted to see a tutorial about speed ramping, today's video will be all about that subject and how you can accomplish exactly what you see in movies and professional videos using PowerDirector. To begin with, I suppose I should define just what is meant by the term speed ramping. No, they are not those things which look like a raised band across the road designed to make motorists reduce their speed. Those things are called speed bumps. Speed ramping is a video editing technique that gradually changes the speed of a clip, creating a smooth transition between different speeds. It can be used to emphasize important moments in a project, such as when action changes between slow motion, standard speed, and fast motion. Now, on my timeline, I have pre-positioned several short video clips. Let's start with some of the most famous slow motion scenes from The Matrix. The first shows Neo in that infamous bullet dodge with some special effects of the bullets whizzing past. It continues with the helicopter crash into the side of a building. The clip continues with Trinity escaping on a rope from a building as an explosion happens right behind her. And finally, yet another fan favorite, the shootout inside the building lobby. The next video was taken from a YouTube channel called the Minorcam Mullet. This video shows the explosive demolition of some of the bridge trusses remaining across the bow of the Dali shipping container that struck the bridge several weeks ago in Baltimore. The first 25 seconds are shown at regular speed from a high-speed camera. The explosions happen fast and the massive trusses seem to slowly fall into the water. But the next 25 seconds are the same exact scenes in slow motion. It starts out with a freeze frame of the actual explosion and then shows the fireballs and the debris being slowly ejected far into the air and continues on until all parts of the bridge truss falls into the water. The next video is a clip taken from a longer video posted to a YouTube channel which shows a bicycle trip around town. Now, this video is just over 1 minute long, but includes one scene of a long trip down a perfectly straight sidewalk, during which the scenery doesn't really change. I have already marked out this segment with the blue clip markers ahead of time. This segment could be a perfect candidate for a speed ramp up to fast motion. There are two methods of doing speed ramping in PowerDirector. There is only a very minor difference between the techniques, and because this is usually done on action scenes, the viewers will never notice any difference. These two methods involve whether you want to split the original clip where you want the speed ramping to be, or whether you want to change the speed via a time shift on a selected range of the original clip. I'll start with the easiest method first, splitting the clip. I'll move the playhead to the first clip marker at the 30-second spot, which is where I want to start the speed ramp, and then click on the knife icon to split the clip. I'll then move the playhead to the second blue clip marker at the 1 minute mark and split the clip again. I'll then click on this clip in the middle to select it. Then click on Edit and then Video Speed. In the current version of PowerDirector, the Video Speed Designer window opens and it looks very similar to older versions, except for a few minor things that have been changed and cleaned up. At the top, there are two tabs, either the entire clip or the selected range. I want the entire clip of the segment that I have already split, so I'll click on the entire clip tab. Notice the original video length of this segment is 30 seconds. There are three ways I can change the duration of this segment. I can either enter in a new video duration directly, such as 10 or 20, or I can drag the speed multiplier bar to the right to speed things up. or I can enter the multiplier value directly. Values below the regular speed of 1.0 will create slow motion, while values above that will create a fast motion. Because I want a fast motion, let's try to triple the speed and get through this segment in only 10 seconds instead of 30 seconds. I'm going to enter a multiplier of 3.0, which means the video will play back at 3 times of its original speed. Notice the new video segment is now 10 seconds. I'll click OK and return to the main window. Notice that my entire video is now only 50 seconds long instead of the 1 minute 10 seconds long. I'm going to move the playhead to about the 25-second mark and hit play. We are starting out at regular speed, but keep an eye on the playhead in the timeline when it reaches the fast motion clip in the middle. And right there, we just kicked into high gear, flew down the long sidewalk, and then returned to normal speed as we approached the other buildings and scenery. Now, the next video on my timeline is a 20-second boxing scene from the movie Rocky vs. Mason-Dixon. We'll watch it at regular speed. As usual, Rocky takes his expected licking in the ring, but towards the end, boom, he takes a hit to the jaw, blood and sweat splatters everywhere. But now let's do some speed ramping to slow down those final seconds of this clip that show Rocky being knocked to the canvas. Now, instead of splitting the clip, I'm going to use the other method and introduce a time shift in a selected portion. In this case, the selected portion will be everything from where I already have a blue clip marker out to the end. Notice where that blue clip marker is placed, near the 15-second mark, which is where I want to start the speed ramping. Keep this value of 15 seconds in mind because it'll become important in just a minute. Without doing any splitting, I'll first select the entire clip and then click on Edit and then Video Speed. This time, I'll click on the Selected Range tab. Now the options underneath have drastically changed. But now the problem is to find the spot where I wanted to start the slow motion action. I have a clip marker on the original video, but notice that while in the Video Speed Designer window, no clip markers are shown, something that I wish Cyberlink would fix. So luckily, our perfect memory reminds us that it was at the 15-second mark. So in the preview window above, I'll advance the playhead to that position or within a few frames. And notice down below, a similar playhead in the time shift window has also moved to a matching position. I'll now click on either of the time shift buttons, and a yellow range selector box is placed at that position. Yeah, I know, don't ask me why Cyberlink has two of the same buttons in the same window. I'll next hover the mouse over the right side of that yellow range selector box until I get a double arrow for a cursor. I can then left click and drag that right side all the way out to the end. If you now look at the upper left, you can see that I have selected about 8 seconds of closing video. I can now use any of those three methods to change the duration of the time shift selection. The question now is just how much do I want to slow this down? Well, let's start with half speed, so I'll enter a value of 0.5. Notice the duration just changed from about 8 seconds to just over 16 seconds. Before I play this to see what it looks like, I'm going to put a check mark in the Ease In box. I don't need to include the Ease Out box because my effect goes all the way to the end of the clip. Cyberlink is pretty silent about what exactly the ease in and ease out functions perform, but it certainly sounds and appears that it makes those small modifications to a few frames before or after the selection, so that the video doesn't immediately jump into or out of slow motion or fast motion. Let's now move the playhead to the left of where I created my slow motion, somewhere around 12 seconds, and then click play to see what this looks like. Well, that slowed things down enough to watch poor old Rocky spit out blood and drops of sweat again, spattering it all through the air, but not slow enough for what I want to see. I'm going to change the speed multiplier to 0.1. And then I'm going to move the playhead back to about 12 seconds and hit play. Even if I manually move the playhead over the actual knockout blow, which occurs at 16:28 seconds, I gotta give Stallone some credit for his facial manipulations that make it appear that he was really socked in the jaw. And now to finish things up, I just have to click on OK, and now the video appears in the main timeline with that little green box to indicate that some kind of effect was applied to the clip. In this case, the video speed. Now, one final quick word about speed ramping. If you noticed, none of my videos had an audio track. If you speed ramp any video that includes an audio track, the audio pitch will also change accordingly. So if you speed things up, a voice on that portion of the audio will sound like a chipmunk. If you slow things down, well, it'll sound like a roaring lion. There are some things you can do to help alleviate the worst parts of the change to the audio. Back in the Speed Designer window, there is a small gear icon for settings at the far right. If you click on it, there are a few choices to be made for the audio settings. You can choose to remove the audio or keep the audio. If you keep the audio, you can choose to keep the audio pitch as close to original as possible, or uncheck this box to let the speed ramping change the pitch. I suggest that you play around with a few video files that include audio to find out which setting you like best. Remember, what works in one video may not sound so great in another video. And as a video editor, you might possibly choose to remove the audio from that segment and substitute in your own audio track. I'm going to click cancel, cancel again, and I'm back in the main window. The next time you watch a movie and the action switches to slow motion, or perhaps a view from an automobile during a long, boring stretch of highway, and it's speeded up to get through it quickly, you should know you are seeing a speed ramp technique. And whether you are using PowerDirector or any other video editing software, the technique is the same. It is all about a time shift. The menus may look different, but the reasoning and the end result are the same. Please hit that big white subscribe button below, as well as the bell for notifications every time I post something new to my channel. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Once again, and as always, thanks for watching.